this section, I want us to go into bid strategies. If you remember, I mentioned that bid strategy is set at the campaign level. The point that was made was that we said there are two main types of bid strategies. First, I want to go to the campaign level and finally choose my campaign settings. And I mentioned that we also had another model, semi-automated. The point is that when we wanted to set the bid strategy, remember I said before, that manual was available in the campaign settings. But now you first set, for example, maximize clicks with a low bid, then you switch to manual CPC. What does that mean? After the campaign is run, you go into the campaign settings, and in the bidding section, we would change this to manual CPC. If we said change bid strategy, it would change it here. Well, the point is, guys, when you want to actually set up, initially it gives you offers like this, saying conversion, but it was really thinking about impressions. Guys, something I want to tell you about the manual and automated discussion is that many people analyze it this way. Often this sentence comes up that, sir, I saw the automated campaign. For example, it set a target CPA, and its performance was better than manual. Guys, the fact that I can't get ahead with a manual gear or an automatic car with the same car, I think it's the driver's problem. And the point is, guys, you are not conducting a proper analysis. Your optimization and the work you do on the dashboard, if done very powerfully and correctly, will show you various parameters. For example, if you align your keywords with the methods I taught you, you will see that the keyword that actually is in your campaign, how much the CPC and bid differ, what the quality score is, how the conversion is, and so on. We need to talk about the garage. You should fully implement this strategy. Use the correct negative keywords. And when you apply negative keywords, be careful not to mistakenly stifle the entire campaign. For example, the products or places where you are applying them, and when you use single words. Be very precise so that these don't become negative just like that. Don't make spelling mistakes negative. Guys, a spelling mistake is something you should correct. That poor person wanted to do just that. And with this action, you are directing the traffic you have in mind, and that is useful to you. Pay close attention to this matter. And this analysis is wrong. For example, just a few cities earlier, in the classes that friends were saying that I went and saw, and I said, ma'am, sir, well, what time frame did you look at? How long has the campaign been running? He said, first of all, it's been running for a week. I said, well, now it's been running for a week. How detailed is it? I said, 200. I said, you are comparing a campaign that has been running for, say, 6 months and has been optimized and has gone on automated models with just one campaign. That's wrong, guys. First of all, for comparison, you need to look at your time frame. Then it might be that the taxi keyboards are giving you this analysis. Pay attention to what I'm saying. He went and launched 2 identical campaigns. Mistakenly, while drunk, he launched 2 campaigns. Mistakenly, while drunk, he did this. And he came and actually only changed the bid strategy. He gave the same target at the same time. Only changing the bid strategy to target CPA, for example, or maximum bidding, which also. He switched it to manual CPC. Guys, if you want to compare these two, they shouldn't overlap at that moment, or at least you should use experiments, which we won't talk about right now in this segment. But you have it in this course anyway. You might use Excel and utilize this. What does that mean? It means you split your data correctly, once for this and once for that. But when you have 2 campaigns that are identical except for the bid strategy and the target location, target language, and everything else are the same, the system gets confused about which one to prioritize. Then you might come and, for example, you bring this on automated with higher bids, it's clear that most of the traffic will come to this one. And it says this one doesn't have conversions. Well, this comparison is also incorrect. Be careful. I can tell you this, sometimes you do these things, and it's a mistake. For this matter, if you want to run a test, you should actually go into the model. Do this with an experiment, and you should split the 2 equally and give them time to learn. For example, in the automated model, it needs to learn. Maybe not in manual, but this one also needs to get traffic and receive a quality score. Guys, even when you run an experiment, this one needs to receive a quality score. If it doesn't have a quality score, it can't be compared. For example, in a small range, you can't conduct this experiment very meaningfully. Therefore, in your comparisons, don't have a one-dimensional analysis. I always say this sentence, guys, whenever your analysis reaches a conclusion very quickly, I think your analysis has a problem. You can't analyze this issue with just one parameter. Consider a small child, think about it, yes, think about it, yes. Regarding the automation strategy, should we even bother with it or not? The Google guy says 2 sentences very clearly. Don't have time to optimize? First of all, when I say optimization, kids, understand that optimization is not something separate from your bid. Understand that my optimization involved all the data, which in the end might have also included the bid, but the aim was to lower the bid and perform other optimizations on the campaigns. Kids, those who work on automated systems, Google says don't have time to work on it, let me handle it for you. For Google, optimization involves your keywords, your campaigns, and, for example, your negative keywords. It doesn't perform other tasks, so let's focus. It only adjusts the bid up and down, which is its first flaw. The second issue. What does Google respond with? It says, "Sir, do you have enough budget to use automation?" What? What does this mean? It gives a hint right here. Why? In the discussion of automated strategies, Google does this based on your previous data. Let's just write it like this, based on your previous data. And from the point where you switch to automation, it starts learning. This means if I haven't had it before, it would be meaningless to send it to learning. The first thing I need to say here is that it requires some prerequisites. So kids, it has some requirements, meaning it needs some prerequisites. So sir, does that mean I can't take my campaign from the page to automated? Okay? No, of course not. That dear friend who is doing this is essentially undermining their own work by putting it into Google's discussion. It's a complete mistake. It has a requirement. It needs prior data. Only from the point where you switch it to automated, does it start learning, understanding the events and this learning, kids, until... So you need prior data. Secondly, thirdly, fourthly, when you go to automated, you have to give it time to learn. Sir, this is it. We have to tweak it. Kids, when I want to learn something, I can't keep jumping from one branch to another. Google. Well, when you suddenly change your bid, or suddenly raise or lower your budget drastically, I can't understand where and what I need to learn. Well, therefore, Google says the same thing. It says, sir, if I'm learning, first of all, don't touch your campaign. So, let me emphasize the third item I mentioned. Do you have enough budget? Do you have enough money? Kids, you have to brace yourselves that everything you do goes into learning. And the fifth item, kids, is that the automated models try to reach the target you set for them. Do they always reach it? Not really. Why? Because the target I set might be too idealistic. So it might not match my actual data and previous data. Hence, I might go astray. In machine learning, you shouldn't force it. You should let it work, learn, and understand what it is. So kids, if I give it a messed up campaign to learn from, well, what it learns will also be messed up. What do they say? They say it shouldn't be data-oriented, meaning it learns and understands based on what has happened so far. Therefore, if my data is bad, it will build and create poorly. It shouldn't be based on previous or next data, sir. You shouldn't rely on it. Let me give you an example, kids, about pricing for a certain time. Can an airplane go on autopilot right after takeoff? No, the pilot takes it up, gets it to a stable state, and then switches to autopilot, right? So you can't set it to automatic mode when it doesn't have previous data, when things are chaotic. How can you put it on automated? Automation is a strategy that works on what it does. It just goes up and down. trying to reach the target you want. Yeah. Can it do that, when the campaign isn't optimized, when the quality growth isn't worked on? I don't know. When optimization hasn't been done, when conversion hasn't been set up, well, what can it even learn to reach? No. If there's no proper data behind it and we expect good results, it can't do such a thing. After that, it ends up consuming a lot of budget. In manual bidding, one of the differences compared to automated bidding is that you can't make significant changes to the automated system. Because if I learn something here and then suddenly move to another place with heavy bidding or a heavy budget, or vice versa, well, I can't learn and adapt in two different ways. So guys, if I'm moving to an automated strategy, I should make minor changes. If I don't do this, my campaign will hit a wall and its learning will collapse. Everything I've taught it will fall apart. Like for example, I taught it something and then to live with 200 million tamans a day. And now I want to take it to a poorer area and say, let's see if it can live on 200 tamans a day. Well, it will collapse or vice versa. Well, that campaign will also collapse. It's exactly the same. The major difference between manual and automated bid strategies is that in manual you have the ability to make adjustments at the lowest possible level. What does that mean? It means you can make changes at the keyword level, just as I taught you. However, in automated bid strategies, you don't have the ability to make bid changes at the keyword level. It operates based on the data it has beforehand and the goals it is pursuing in the bid strategy. And it proceeds accordingly. Does it definitely hit the target that I have, for example, the maximized target? Does it hit my CPA target? No. The next point, guys, is the behavior of Google Ads in the model. I don't have it exactly, but in another model, I don't care right now. It's based on the CPC model. That means if I say that my focus is on conversions or conversion value, it tries to maximize conversions. Is it definitely achieved? If I target a specific impression, share that I want to get, does it mean it will definitely hit it? Well, for example, suppose you said you want to target an impression share and you want to see how much it shows. It asks, where would you like the ad to be shown? It says, anywhere in the top, absolute results. These are more of the goals. Many people like to follow it. Absolute top, what percentage? I want to get 100% impression share in the absolute top. Meaning it should be shown at the very top, 100% of the time. But I maximize the bid and set it to 100. Sir, in this impression share that you are currently hitting, my question is this. Last by rank test and last by budget. Then I set my budget to a penny. For example, imagine here, let's say I set a budget of 2,000 lira and I bid 100th of a lira. Well, sir, this person says my maximum bid can be 100th. Does this make sense to you? You say, I want a Maserati, but I don't have the money to pay for it. Well, they can't do this for you. Therefore, there must be some logic behind it. So there should be an initial understanding. So, to reach this, we need to work with your previous data. And from there I say, sir, make my budget, for example, 20 a day. I pay, for instance, up to 10. Well, right here you're telling it that, buddy, you can't get more than 2 clicks, not 10 clicks, because your bid isn't the same as what the gentleman is getting. But there's no stress. You say, sir, my budget is 20. Well, now you're automatically making it a loss by budget, and you're getting 100% impression. You won't get 10, you won't get 10, you won't get it, you won't get it. Or, in another way, I say, maximize clicks. Well, I want guys, look here. When I say maximize clicks, well, what does it mean? It means try to get the maximum number of clicks you can. Then I set it to 20 lira. And they don't give a bad limit for maximizing clicks either. Well, or I set a limit again, for example, I set it to 500. Well, sir, you can't have both the donkey and the date. It doesn't work. We need to do this much more logically. That's why I say it's a target. We set it to 500. It wasn't 5 kids. We made a mistake. Well, 500ths. Well, here you give lost by rank. Well, you don't let your clicks get caught, right? You either lower your speed or your budget. You have to adjust it. Well, so it must have a logic. When I want to go for automated ones, if I see, I need to know the prerequisites. I need to know that automated ones shouldn't have underlying changes. I need to know that our optimization should be finalized. And when I do this, well, because I put it on autopilot, well, I maneuver this. And I know that I have enough budget because I have to let it run for 5 days in the learning phase. I shouldn't touch it. Let it do its job. If my idea doesn't work, I make changes. Guys, sometimes your campaign is okay and it's working. You put it on automated at first. It's on automated but still doesn't perform as well. You get happy and suddenly switch it. Well, sir, you blew up the campaign. All your knowledge went into this. Well, then you ask, why did my traffic drop? You don't say, well, I didn't understand its learning phase. Guys, it goes into the learning phase again with small changes of 5 to 10% in 100 to 200 clicks. Do you know exactly what I'm saying? 5 to 10% in 100 to 200 clicks. Or if you have a conversion target, for example, 200 conversions, 30 conversions per day. No, sir, I have only 1 conversion, and in total I have 10 pieces. I go for it, or I have only 100 impressions. For example, going for automated doesn't help at all. It can't learn what we want, right? And then the data volume should be logical. The next point, guys, always says to start at the campaign level, take a look at the settings once. My first step for discussing automated is to help increase conversion with enhanced CPC. Guys, in enhanced CPC, well, and the automated models that I want to talk about, first of all, there's CPC. I say I try to maximize your conversion, D, to increase it. But guys, it's the only form of automated that, of course, we call it bot stub semi-automated, and I don't use it. If it sees that it can improve performance, the bid will go up. If it can't, it stays on your keyword bid. This is the only situation where you can simultaneously change the bid at the keyword level. This is a question for your exam. It's the only situation where you can change the bid at the keyword level. However, that number doesn't stay. And when you check this enhancement, it says optimize for conversion or optimize for conversion value, which I explained before, guys. I can only go for optimizing from the conversion value when the conversion value is specified. When I haven't specified it and just said increase, how is it supposed to optimize the conversion value? You see, this is something important, which is why I'm teaching you this at this point. And if I said optimize for the number of conversions, it wants to increase the conversions. Rest assured it can do this, yeah, because often it's off since you don't have a truck tractor. And I repeat again, this is what CPC says when I click on this. Or how it falls, guys, I have to quickly return to their issues. And when I come to the keyword level, guys, he says, look, if I could do it, well, if I could do it, my time frame is small. Then it becomes if I could do it. Well, if I could do it, my time frame is small. I have to show you R. I saw I could optimize it, I could increase it, assuming it's higher than this. Assumptions are made. Well, and I take it into action. Then you see your CPC has dropped from these 8s to 1 layer, 1.5 layers, and it tries to generalize the conversion. If it can generalize the conversion, then guys, it should still have data for its learning in this same chain state. Well, therefore, if you saw this enhancer, know that I should go and take it. And I could change my bid here, you see? Now, I'm going to remove this person for now and go listen to some requirements. Guys, bid strategies that are in the automated model, Google talks about its bid strategies. Each bid strategy follows an initial goal, meaning it follows a fundamental objective. If your goal is the number of clicks, and you want to increase your number of clicks, maybe the max bid strategy could be useful for you for clicks. But is this better than manual? I think it is, right? But its goal is to maximize the number of clicks on your behalf. What happens if we don't have data? Well, it hits the wall once or twice. If we set it to maximize clicks, suddenly it might go back to the drawing board, for example, and if we do it again, the data learning gets disrupted. A significant change means what? It tells you itself, it goes back into the learning phase again. Well, you shouldn't touch it again. So these are the aspects of this automated bidding strategy that Google suggests. It says come and go through this optimization stage. My question here is, what happens to the fundamental optimization that I need to do and doesn't require optimization? So I choose my automated bidding strategy based on my initial goal. If my aim is conversion, if I want to analyze conversions but also improve them, the first step is a good CPC, kids, whose requirements are very weak. Its requirement is that, for example, you should have at least 100 clicks a day. It can't optimize with just 10 clicks. You see a lot of different articles, but for it to be able to learn, it needs at least 100 clicks. If you don't have clicks, you should go for maximize clicks to get clicks. Well, if this happens, it would be a miracle. And the next point is that when you switch to automated, you no longer have the ability to edit the keywords. You don't see this at all. You see nothing. What happens? Well, it goes to the campaign level with this sensitivity. If you fall in love, I say change the bid strategy. It asks what the goal is. I say maximize clicks. Guys, if you see another model like get guidance selecting BD strategy, if I set the target in click, I'm again selecting the same maximize clicks. Okay? Both are the same. Well, I don't deal with reducing the budget, guys. I don't decrease it. But in the models where you see conversion recommended for your campaign, why? Because it might be that, guys, you set your marketing objective here as sales or purchase, or it suggests your goal under purchase. But it always suggests, we first say, no, guys, what happens if I don't set a bid limit here? They start saying the bid goes up suddenly because it requires effort to say more clicks for you. When they try to complete models that aren't complete, they often look for more traffic. It tries to drive the most clicks, or you see the kid checking this box, and you go without paying attention, you might not notice the difference. Or you come and drive this click, for example, with a voice layer. Well, when you don't have limitations, you want to get the most traffic with what you have, That's why they say your basics should be complete, and kids, you should set your bid limit. I do this myself. I set the bid limit to approximately the average of the bids I've placed now. Well, if you want to set a bid limit, set a logical bid for yourself, for example, 1 unit or half a unit. If it doesn't work after 5 days, don't touch it for the first 5 days. And kids, here the status will come to learning. I didn't know what to do because the cabin is like this. For example, the big guys don't bring a cabin on you. For example, right now, it doesn't matter if I change it here. So you can see it. Okay, it came. Assume, kids, I come here. Into the settings, not everywhere. I say the optimization score is not important for us and it doesn't affect your performance at all. It's very important to raise the optimization score and it's not important at all. Well, I come into the bid and look, I say change bid strategy, kids. When I take this bid strategy from here to maximum clicks or set it here on. In fact, I set it to the maximum bid level. And because your campaign will explode. Well, look and see. The bid strategy sets learning. And it starts learning. It says no action is needed at this time. Guys, it itself says, please don't change it. You see, it became maximize clicks. Now, if I change the bid strategy right here, guys, you need to set a limit. See, if you don't set a limit, it will ruin you. For example, I set it depending on the data I have and what I'm seeing. For instance, these are over 30 visits, and I set it for a week. Well, whether you can play with it on the 16th or not, it doesn't matter if I select it here or there. For example, if I come here and can maximize my clicks, it doesn't matter. I have to say, guys, the portfolio strategy is not important to me. It's doing the same thing. It's making each of these into a portfolio. It doesn't matter at all. It wants to see if you have a limit or not. You open this or click on more details. Well, for example, if you have a specific case, you will see the same thing here as well. I emphasize that I am not concerned with the optimization of the entire optimization of the Screw clan. You see, your strategy is set to maximize clicks, and it shows here. So I can see the data here. Well, if I don't set this ticker, the team will destroy you. This maximizes clicks per target, and you should deliver exactly 70 to 100 recommended clicks per day, which is beneficial. And if you hit this, it will work. On the wall, you shouldn't touch it and say, make it beautiful, then move forward. If suddenly the traffic drops, it's probably not unlikely that it was set low. Well, wait a few days and don't touch it. If you see it turns out like this, if it doesn't catch anything, you raise it higher. For example, instead of hitting 6, I hit 1. I do this work to see what result it gets. Well, as I told you, the requirement is enough. Now, let's go back. If the target of my ad campaign is the kids, what's the first step? I told you the basics. Well, I try to keep those that don't perform well and seem not to perform well, but if I feel it can increase its conversion and is giving a good conversion, that keyword is filed. That keyword that you consider higher, you consider it higher to try to get the highest conversion. But suddenly, and then after the debate they chose to everyone. If the target is to maximize conversion, another one is to maximize conversion, which is more advanced. I say here again, I say change bid strategy. Here the goal is also conversion. Look, kids, what it says set target cost per conversion. Kids, usually it gives some suggestions here. Well, now because this campaign is not running, it gives it to me here. Look at this. If I set it to conversion here, do you see? If I don't check this box, kids, its suggestion is that it says your budget is this much, daily spend is this much, and you can change your budget. Oh, its options are not shared. Yes, welcome. When I check the box, it gives the suggestion of 14 Casper conversion, kids. Here, Casper does the acquisition. When you check the box, if your goal is conversion, you see it targets the CPA. Or I don't check the box, and it tries to achieve the highest conversion for me. Well, it tries to achieve the highest conversion for me, or I make it conversion value. Guys, I usually say for setting this, I come here and maximize conversion. If I don't set anything for maximize conversion, pay attention, guys. Whether it's maximize clicks, write this down. Whether it's maximize conversion, whether it's maximize conversion value or target impression share. It works based on your budget, meaning what? It means it first looks at your budget and tries to target getting the highest amount of conversion or the highest conversion value based on your budget. Guys, the simple mode we have here in the conversion discussion is the number of conversions and the highest conversion value. If I don't set it to be strict, it tries to create the highest number of conversions and a conversion value for you based on your budget with any bid. With any bid, but if we base it on these two models, in fact, maximize conversion value. Now, if I set a cap for maximize conversion, what does it say? It sets a target cost per action cap. Guys, if you want to set a target, cost per acquisition, what does it become abbreviated as? Target CPA. Guys, pay attention. Google works based on CPC. That dear friend who says Google is coming from this model and takes money per acquisition or per action, that is making a mistake. It's called target CPA or TCPA. It says, look, I aim and try to hit your target CPA. Does it mean it sits on this number? Guys, it says your recommendation is based on post-average cost per conversion. Guys, pay attention to the requirement. What was the requirement for maximizing conversions? First of all, it wasn't difficult. Okay. Based on your budget, it tries to achieve the highest conversion rate, guys. I'm telling you the minimum number of conversions per day it should have to be able to refine this data and then cut it. Let it do this work. It tries. It might lower the conversion rate, but it tries. If I set a ceiling for maximizing conversion, it turns into TCPA, target cost per acquisition, or target cost per action. That conversion is the cost per action. Or if I set a ceiling for it, it becomes TCPA. It's a model of automated strategy that was previously mentioned separately, and now it's saying that based on historical data, well, guys, you turn to target CPA when your conversion value is determined. Why would you now set it to 14? And the conversion value that happens for me for each conversion could be around 10 lira. Well, it makes sense to do this and set it to 14 when the value is clear. And in the end, guys, pay attention to what you want. When you switch to the automated TCPA model, it gives you a hint, guys. This is logical when you have exactly 40 to 50, 20 to 30, or 40 to 50 conversions. And your cost per conversion is determined, and your conversion value is also clear. Well, guys, the TCPA model, exactly. And there's another model that I'll tell you about. It's primary. The TCPA that you have set for it, what does it mean? Does it mean the budget is not important for it? No. It doesn't mean that it's not important for it to achieve the highest number of conversions there. It says, I will try to bring your CPA down to this level. It doesn't care how many conversions it gets, okay? It's not based on your budget. Pay attention to what I'm saying. It's not much. And its main goal is to say, I will try to stick to the TCPA. Sir, does it mean it will stick if we do these things? Because it might not stick, okay? And if it doesn't have data to learn from before this and you set the TCPA, you hit the wall of the campaign. If you make heavy changes to the campaign during its learning phase, again, you hit the wall. For example, I might say, I will make a tent, I will hit one with my friends. Then you see the real conversion in Casper and see the layer. Well, guys, the more you see in automated models that are more complex, the TCPAs are more complex compared to maximize conversion. I'm hitting two parameters, okay? The more complex they are, the harder you're making your job and Google's job. Therefore, you need to have more budget to ensure that money. Well, then it's going to pursue more advanced academic fields. And guys, the point is that it might not work at all with your target CPA and might not be able to achieve it. So, PA, therefore, we should also set the target CPA logically. For example, if we set it at 14, we should gradually adjust it to 14.5 and then to 14. Guys, for every 100 to 200 conversions, I adjust it up or down by 5 to 10%. Please don't make big changes all at once, like increasing it by 40%. You can't do this during the learning phase, and even after the learning phase, you can't make big changes. Here, there's a correction. No, not a correction. Don't keep hitting the button. It keeps saying to remove it. There are 4 bit adjustments. Guys, bit adjustments in the automated model slightly change their performance model. When I say 20%, for example, assume a certain audience, you can't change this because it's the maximum, okay? We don't have their cameras, pause, and there's another model. Don't confuse the users, guys. Porto strategizes this service. Porto signs the document that we were waiting for. Or they say, based on Maximus conversion flow, if they don't check it, it actually tries based on your budget. It tries to first learn from previous data, and it should learn from that. And you should have data. So at least as I said about Maximus models, you should at least have it. And it tries to create the highest conversion flow for you. It definitely tries. It might happen. Well, and the manual model usually has more power in this matter. Based on your budget, as I mentioned, the previous requirement is also present here. And the next point, kids, is that your conversion value must definitely be specified. In camping, if you haven't specified what you want to achieve, it might maximize conversion and increase the number, but its conversion value might be low. Well, and finally, the last model that was one with the last model, I want to actually tell you about the automated ones, a more advanced model again. Says set target return on ad spend. Kids, it's the abbreviation for return on ad spend, ROAS. It comes and divides the total conversion values by your ad spend, giving you a ratio. Well, you see, it turns it into a percentage, making it the target ROAS. Again, the target ROAS. Meaning, hopefully, it becomes the first, so it comes and sums up the revenue that the conversion values accumulate, which should be correct. Remember, whether it's SM or e-commerce has that issue, or you can't even have the currency here. You're assuming it here. And you can't reach it to see the lira, right? And we set the target ROAS. It sums up that revenue, divides the return by the total cost over the time period, and tries to reach that point. See? When I check this box, well, there's a positive internet, etc. Guys shouldn't rely on hopefully or God willing, because here we don't have the complete sum of values. We can't offer all options either. Well, see, the header becomes more complex, but you should sum it up. As I told you about its suggestions, I don't know about the automated model because I customize a lot. But you see 90% of the articles and many friends who work with Google say that everything should be automated. Then you look at the campaign shape and it should have data. This level of campaign complexity, is run. And it says, I set the target rows. Hopefully I set a layer, for example. Target CPA, hopefully I set a layer. I set the target ROAS and it says, it doesn't use the return against it, it says the same. I set it for 10 solar years, assuming because I was setting it at 200%, for example. Well, I know. No, I like 500%. It doesn't have data. The poor thing wants to go with this. Why do I say work on it? I have an example. I say now this is a simple example, for instance, but when you do something like this, kids, this tick also hits, for example, it hits 500, right? Well, oh, sorry, I don't use it that much myself. Here I have a mistake. I'm saying it says before setting target ROAS, wait until the account has set up conversion tracking and has received at least 15 conversions in 30 days. Kids, in reality, with 15 conversions in 30 days, it can't give you something like this. And finally, when I save it, kids, hopefully, sir, when I look at it, how does the keyword percentage fall into the automated mode? It no longer gives you the maximum CPC. You don't have it at all in your column. Well, it doesn't give you this data as it did in the normal mode. And kids, here I see it again. You see the target rows is 500. Hopefully you didn't have data at all to learn from it, like a child raised in the jungle, trying to speak fluently. They can't do such a thing. Well, and kids, more importantly, it says a minimum of 15 in 30 days, but it really doesn't work. So its requirements are that we must have a conversion tracker. In my opinion, you need to have over 200 conversions a day for it to be able to achieve this national conversion and then hit the target ROAS and especially the target CPA. Hopefully it will work. Another point is that the conversion lead must be specified, otherwise it won't. And after that, in 5 days, start testing with a learning phase and then be ready to spend a lot. Because if that doesn't happen, you'll hit a wall. After that, follow the principles of your previous data that it suggests to you. Preferably, after the learning phase, don't make too many changes unless it hasn't worked at all. Or it became very weak, or you say, oh, I set it to 6, it didn't catch on at all. I set everything to the optimizer, for example. I set it to 1.5 layers to optimize it so it can reach its potential. If it doesn't work again, don't touch it. Guys, if you made a mistake and tampered with it and made heavy changes, this happened. For managing your traffic, and first, to remember, go and take notes. Secondly, check your history. Thirdly, I look and I see that in fact, in the campaign, from the point where I switch it to automated, what I do is say, okay, I don't want it on autopilot. I take control, bring it to manual, and start tweaking it. I make the changes until the campaign is up again. Once it's up, the data on automated, guys, the events that happened before it went up, okay, maybe I'll switch it to automated. I might change it, but sometimes a significant change causes a drop. Then you bring it back up, make another change, and it drops again. You say it didn't work again. This poor thing messed it up, dropped it, and wants to learn and go. It already messed up, making it worse, trying to learn and go, but it doesn't go up. Then you manually adjust, bring it up, and again, I don't use my own automated system, guys, because when I'm not in control, it's very hard for me to work. I don't use it. We want to test it and make use of it, but it might not be the right time, or it might become a tomato because I really want to work on this. Well, this is in your hands, the decision. Another model I mentioned is the target impression share, which we should logically implement as well, God willing. This story allows us to look and say, sir, I want to put this here, and see what I'm saying. Anywhere on the result page, meaning either at the top or bottom, the top 4 are above. And this should also be done logically, not just randomly. If you set a percentage, if you put a limit on it, you must do it logically. If you don't set a limit, it will start to take the infinite loop. But you must be prepared for it, because sometimes it will hit a snag. And finally, if you want to set a limit, you must do it logically. I look at my previous data and see, sir, look. I was saying that the previous data is telling me, for example, I have a lot of examples like this, for instance, with a $2 example. Overall, I understood this perception. My budget went very high. I don't have liquidity, and I still didn't get it, right? For example, I got 10%, and then to increase my impression, now I'm saying to put 1 lira. But if you say 100%, well, sir, it can't be done. God willing, don't go ahead. Just make the right analysis here. I have to put it here because of these issues and its high cost, which means I can't touch its learnings too much and make a lot of changes. I don't automate myself too much, and ultimately, even after that, I can't make heavy changes, and then I gradually make changes. If you see a change and it crashes, guys, you'll want to say revert it to the previous state, no, and then go to manual, optimize it, and then go back to automate again. Because of this, pay very close attention to this issue. So a few models, max. First of all, the initial model of CMAS is ECPC, which focuses on increasing conversions. The next model, as I mentioned, is maximize conversions. We know that it's a basic model. If you have set up a conversion tracker, you can switch to maximize, conversions. However, be mindful of your settings. If you set a limit, it becomes target CPA. In this case, your conversion values should be determined and you should have sufficient data. That's it. I mentioned that at least 30 to 40 conversions per day should be stabilized in the campaign. Well, as you mentioned, another approach is to say maximize conversion value based on a budget, but you still need to have set the value and have it specified in your conversions. If you set a limit, it says target ROAS. It says I want you to sit at this number, and if you don't have it, first, your conversion value must be defined. Then you can use the model to help with it, as I told you about this project. This is one of the automated strategies I mentioned, guys. Based on your initial goals, you perform this task to target impression, add conversion, which can be target CPA, maximize conversion, target ROAS. Remember, the return is actually the ROAS itself. It works like this, guys. Return is not profit, it is the total conversion divided by the cost, and this is the target CPC. It's conversion optimization, and then click maximize, click, which are models you can use. Okay? I discussed this complete overview, and I'll see you in the next video.